Hello everyone. My name is Linda and I want to tell you a story that happened to my friend Alice. I named this story as, after a family trip, I found a $10,000 charge on my card. My sister said, just relax. These are family expenses. My parents sided with her. I didn't argue, but calmly prepared a surprise for my sister, which cost her $60,000. Well, let's go. My name is Alice, and I'm 28 years old. I work as a marketing manager at a tech company here in Chicago, and honestly, I've been pretty lucky with my career. The pay is good, the benefits are solid, and I actually enjoy what I do most days. My family is pretty typical, I guess. There's my mom Janet, who's 53 and works part-time at a local bookstore. She's always been the peacemaker in our family, trying to keep everyone happy. My dad Robert is 55 and manages a small hardware store downtown. He's practical, straightforward, and has this way of cutting through any drama with common sense. Then there's my younger sister Grace. She's 25, 3 years younger than me, and let's just say she's had a rougher time finding her path. Grace has been struggling with work for the past year or so. She graduated college with a degree in communications but hasn't been able to land anything steady. She's had a bunch of temp jobs, some retail gigs, and even tried freelance writing for a while. Nothing really stuck. It's been tough watching her bounce around like that, especially since she's always been the creative one in the family. Growing up, she was into art, drama, music, all that stuff. I was the practical one who studied business and went straight into corporate life. Our parents have been married for almost 30 years now. Their anniversary was coming up in about a month, and Grace and I had been talking about doing something special for them. We should do something really memorable this time, Grace said when we met for coffee last month. She looked tired, like she always did these days. Her latest job had just ended, some marketing assistant position that only lasted 3 months. What are you thinking? I asked, stirring my latte. I don't know, maybe a trip somewhere? They've never really traveled much except for that one vacation to Florida when we were kids. That got me thinking. Mom had always talked about wanting to see Hawaii. She'd mention it whenever those travel shows came on TV, always saying how beautiful it looked. Dad would roll his eyes, but I could tell he was interested too. Hawaii, I said, Mom's always wanted to go there. Grace's eyes lit up, that's perfect. But Alice, I can't really afford much right now. This whole job situation has been killing me financially. I knew she was struggling. She'd been living paycheck to paycheck for months, and with her recent unemployment, things were probably even tighter. Don't worry about it, I said, I can handle the big stuff, flights and hotel. You can cover the entertainment and activities once we're there. That should be way more manageable for you. She smiled for the first time in weeks. You're the best, Alice. They're going to be so surprised. We started planning right away. I found a great resort in Maui with ocean views and everything. The flights weren't cheap, especially for 4 people, but I could swing it. The whole thing was going to cost me around $8,000, flights, hotel, meals included in the resort package. Grace would handle maybe $2,000 or $3,000 worth of activities and extras. It seemed like a fair split considering our different financial situations. When we told our parents about the trip, Mom actually started crying. Happy tears, of course. Hawaii, really? Oh my goodness, I can't believe it, she kept saying. Dad tried to play it cool, but I could see him grinning. Well, I suppose someone has to keep an eye on you 3 in paradise, he said. The next few weeks were a blur of planning and preparation. I booked everything, sent everyone their itineraries, and made sure all the travel documents were in order. Grace seemed more upbeat than she'd been in months, talking about all the things we could do, snorkeling, luau's, maybe even a helicopter tour. I'd been looking at excursion packages, she told me a week before the trip. There's this volcano tour that looks incredible, and Mom would love the pineapple farm experience. Finally, departure day arrived. We all met at O'Hare at 6 a.m. for our flight to Honolulu, then another connection to Maui. Everyone was excited, even Dad, who kept making jokes about being a tourist. The flight was long but uneventful. Mom spent most of it reading travel guides about Hawaii that she'd checked out from the library. Grace was scrolling through her phone, probably looking up more activities. Dad dozed off somewhere over Colorado. When we landed in Maui and felt that warm tropical air, it was like stepping into a postcard. The resort was everything the website promised, right on the beach, beautiful pools, and our rooms had amazing ocean views. For the first 2 days, it was perfect. We spent time on the beach, tried the resort restaurants, and Grace organized a snorkeling trip that was absolutely amazing. I finally felt like I could relax and just enjoy being with my family in this beautiful place. But then everything changed. It was our third morning there when my phone rang at 7 a.m. I almost didn't answer because I was on vacation, but something made me pick up. "Alice, this is Margaret, Sarah's mom." Sarah, my best friend since college. Why would her mom be calling me? "Hi, Mrs. Peterson, is everything okay?" "Alice, honey, there's been an accident." My heart dropped into my stomach. Sarah's mom sounded shaken up, which was not like her at all. Mrs. Peterson was usually this calm, collected woman who managed crisis situations like it was nothing. "What kind of accident?" I asked, already knowing I didn't want to hear the answer. "A car accident, honey, it happened last night around 10 p.m. Sarah was driving home from work, and a drunk driver ran a red light and hit her car on the passenger side. I felt like the world was spinning. Is she okay? Please tell me she's okay." "She's alive, but Alice, it's serious. She's in the hospital right now. They had to do emergency surgery on her spleen and they're worried about internal bleeding. She's been unconscious since they brought her in." I was already moving toward my suitcase, pulling out clothes. "Which hospital?" "I'm coming home right now." "Northwestern Memorial, but Alice, you don't have to cut your vacation short. There's nothing you can do here right now anyway. Mrs. Peterson, Sarah is my best friend. There's no way I'm staying on a beach while she's fighting for her life in a hospital. I'm booking the next flight out." After I hung up, I just stood there for a minute trying to process everything. Sarah and I had been through everything together: college, breakups, job changes, family drama. She was the one person I could always count on, and now she was lying unconscious in a hospital bed. I knocked on my parents' door and told them about Sarah's accident. They were understanding and supportive about me leaving immediately. When I went to Grace's room, she was sympathetic too. I was at the hotel front desk by 8 a.m., changing my flight for the earliest one out. While I was dealing with that, I remembered that Grace was supposed to be covering all the entertainment costs, but what if something expensive came up? I found Grace at breakfast and pulled out $1,000 in cash from my purse. "Here, take this just in case," I said, handing her the money. Grace's eyes lit up as she took the cash. "Thanks, Alice. This will definitely help make sure Mom and Dad have an amazing time." The flight home felt endless. By the time I landed at O'Hare, it was 11 p.m. Chicago time. I went straight to Northwestern Memorial from the airport. Sarah looked so small in that hospital bed, connected to all those machines. But when she saw me, she managed a weak smile. "You came back," she whispered. "Of course I came back, you idiot, you scared the hell out of me. I ruined your vacation." "Sarah, shut up, vacations happen all the time. Best friends almost dying in car accidents, not so much." She laughed a little, then winced. "Everything hurts." "I know, but you're going to be okay. The doctor said the surgery went really well." For the next few days, I basically lived at that hospital. I brought Sarah's parents coffee and just sat with Sarah when she was awake. My phone was constantly buzzing with texts and notifications, but I ignored all of it. Nothing seemed important compared to making sure my best friend recovered. Sarah's condition improved steadily. By the 5th day, the doctor said she was going to make a full recovery. The crisis was over, and I finally felt like I could breathe again. That night, I went home to my apartment for the first time since I'd gotten back. I was exhausted and emotionally drained, but relieved. I finally looked at my phone properly for the first time in days. What I saw made no sense at first. Notification after notification from my banking app about card transactions. Big ones. I opened the app and nearly dropped my phone. $10,000 in charges from Hawaii in just 5 days. I immediately grabbed my laptop and logged into my banking application. All the expenses had been made in Hawaii. The yacht cruise alone cost $2,000. There was also payment for massages, spa treatments, diving, an excursion to the volcano, buying souvenirs, ordering food from the restaurant to the room, as well as a gastronomic tour to the pineapple farm, and even a visit to Pearl Harbor. I was shocked, but I immediately knew who could have done all this. A few years ago, when Grace was having a difficult time in her life and had no job, I gave her access to my account. She only bought groceries with my card back then, spending $100 to $200 each time, never anything extra. 6 months later, she got a job and stopped using my bank card completely. I had completely forgotten to revoke her access to my card. I immediately called Grace. The phone rang and rang, no answer. I called again, still nothing. On the 5th try, she finally picked up. "Alice, what's up?" "Grace, what the hell is this? Why is there $10,000 debited from my card in just a few days?" Grace's voice was completely calm. "Well, you left me alone with Mom and Dad, and they were getting bored. I had to arrange a fun and memorable vacation for them." "What do you mean?" "We agreed you'd pay for entertainment and excursions. These aren't just my personal expenses, Alice. These are family expenses. I spent only a little money on myself. Most of the expenses went to Mom and Dad. Grace, we agreed a month ago that you would pay for all the entertainment and excursions on vacation." My sister started making excuses. "Plans had to be changed, Alice. The situation was different than we expected. You shouldn't have organized such an expensive vacation, but if you decided to show off your generosity to our parents, you should have used your own money, not mine." "Look, Alice, don't make this complicated. Grace, you had no right to use my bank card to pay for all these things. You basically robbed me. You need to return the $10,000 to me." Grace laughed. "I didn't steal anything. You gave me access to your card yourself. That was for groceries years ago, not for a luxury vacation." "Alice, don't dramatize everything, just relax. Mom and Dad are completely satisfied with this vacation." "Well, I'm not satisfied with this situation." Grace laughed again. "I don't have $10,000 anyway, so you won't be able to get the money from me." And with that, she hung up on me. I stared at my phone, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. $10,000, gone, just like that. And my sister acted like it was no big deal, like I was being unreasonable for being upset about it. I didn't call Grace back, there was no point. She'd made it clear she wasn't going to return the money willingly. I also didn't call my parents because I knew exactly what would happen. They'd side with Grace. They always did. In their eyes, Grace was the struggling one who needed protection, and I was the successful one who should just deal with whatever came my way. My family would be back from Hawaii in a few more days, and I needed to be ready. I wasn't going to let Grace get away with this. Without wasting a minute, I got on Google and started searching for lawyers who specialized in small claims cases. I spent hours reading reviews and checking credentials. The next morning, I called the office of David Martinez, an attorney who had excellent ratings and seemed to handle cases like mine. David Martinez turned out to be this sharp-eyed guy in his 40s who listened to my whole story without interrupting once. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and nodded. "Your sister definitely committed theft, no question about it," he said. "Using someone's bank card without permission for personal expenses is textbook fraud, even if she had access to the account." "So I can sue her?" "Absolutely, I'll prepare a lawsuit for court, but I also have another plan. Your sister probably won't expect what we're going to do." What do you mean? Martinez smiled. Let's just say we're going to show her the full scope of her financial relationship with you. Bring me every receipt, every bill, every record of money you've spent on your sister over the past few years. Everything. That evening, I started going through my files and bank statements. I'd always been pretty organized with my finances, so I had records of everything. What I found shocked even me. For 3 years straight, I'd been paying for Grace's apartment rent. $1,200 a month, every month. That was $43,200 right there. Then there was her last year of college tuition when she couldn't get enough financial aid, $8,500. When her car broke down 2 years ago, I paid for the repairs, $3,200. I also paid her car insurance for the past 2 years because she said she couldn't afford it, $2,400. And the monthly internet bill for her apartment, which I'd been covering because she said it was essential for job hunting, $1,800 over the past 3 years. I didn't even count the smaller stuff like groceries and the occasional dinner out. When I added everything up, I'd spent a little more than $60,000 on Grace over the past 3 years. $60,000. I sat there staring at the number, feeling stupid. How had I not realized how much I was spending on her? How had I let it get this far? The next day, I brought all the receipts and bank statements to Martinez's office. He went through everything carefully, making notes. "This is perfect," he said. "Your sister owes you $60,000, not $10,000. We're going to file for the full amount." "Can we really do that?" "Alice, you have documentation for every penny. Your sister has been financially dependent on you for years. This isn't charity, this is debt that she needs to pay back." A few days later, my family returned from Hawaii. I knew they'd be having their usual Sunday family dinner at my parents' house, and I decided that's where I'd confront them. I wanted to do it in person, where Grace couldn't just hang up on me. Sunday came, and I drove to my parents' house with a folder full of legal documents and receipts. As soon as I walked through the front door, Mom rushed over to me. "Alice, honey, we need to talk about what happened with Grace. Your father and I know all about the expenses in Hawaii. You shouldn't be upset with her, she did it for us." Dad appeared from the living room, looking stern. "Alice, you need to stop making a big deal out of nothing. Grace arranged a wonderful vacation for us. Just pay the bills and move on." "Dad, she stole $10,000 from me without asking." "She didn't steal anything," he said firmly. "You gave her access to your account. And now you want to punish her for making sure we had a good time?" I looked around and saw Grace sitting at the kitchen table, smiling smugly. She looked completely relaxed, like she didn't have a care in the world. "Actually," I said, walking over to her, "I've decided not to demand the $10,000 from you anymore." Grace's smile got bigger. Mom clapped her hands together. "Oh, Alice, that's wonderful. I knew you'd come to your senses. That money can be another gift for your anniversary," I continued. "See," Dad said, "this is how family should handle things." Grace started to get up from the table, looking pleased with herself, but I held up my hand. "I'm not finished." I pulled out the folder and placed it on the table. Grace's smile faded a little. "What's that?" she asked. "You should look at these papers, Grace." Grace opened the folder and started flipping through the pages. With each page, her face got paler. Bank statements, receipts, payment records, everything documenting the $60,000 I'd spent on her over 3 years. When she reached the last page, the lawsuit papers, she looked like she was going to be sick. "Are you serious?" she whispered. "You're going to sue your own sister?" I looked her straight in the eyes. "Yes." The kitchen went dead silent. "You have 3 months to return the $60,000 to me," I said calmly. Grace jumped up from her chair. "I'm not returning anything. This is completely unfair." Mom stepped forward, looking flustered. "Alice, this is ridiculous. This is family business. You don't need lawyers for family matters." Dad's face was red with anger. "I can't believe this. You're being greedy and selfish, Alice." I never thought you'd stoop this low. Greedy? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I've been supporting Grace for 3 years, and when she steals from me, I'm the greedy one? You never said those were loans, Grace shouted, you just helped me out. Help is temporary, Grace, 3 years isn't help, it's dependency. The room erupted in shouting. Everyone was talking at once, accusing me of being heartless, ungrateful, money-obsessed. Finally, I'd had enough. I'm done with this, I said, grabbing my purse. Grace, you have 3 months. I walked out of that house and didn't look back. A month passed after that disaster of a family dinner. I threw myself into work and tried not to think about my family. Sarah was doing great in her recovery, which was the one bright spot in my life. She was back home and doing physical therapy, getting stronger every day. Then my lawyer called. Alice, I contacted your sister directly yesterday, Martinez said. I asked her what she'd decided about paying her debt, whether she'd do it voluntarily or if we'd have to face her in court. She said she doesn't want a trial, and that she's ready to voluntarily pay half of the amount. I snorted. Half? She thinks she can negotiate? That's what I told her. I said we weren't interested in partial payment of the debt and gave her another week to think about it. And? She asked for a meeting, all family members. This Friday at 2 p.m. in my office. Friday came way too fast. I walked into Martinez's office and found my entire family already sitting there. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Mom looked like she'd been crying. Dad looked furious. Grace just looked defeated. Thank you all for coming, Martinez said professionally. We're here to discuss the debt repayment agreement. This is insane, Dad muttered, suing your own family over money. Martinez ignored him and slid papers across the table to Grace. This is a payment agreement for the full amount of $60,000, with a 12-month payment schedule. You can sign this voluntarily, or we can proceed to court. Grace stared at the papers for a long time. She looked at our parents, then at me, then back at the papers. What if I can't make the payments? She asked quietly. Then we go to court and you'll owe the money anyway, plus court costs and legal fees, Martinez replied. Mom leaned forward. Grace, honey, just sign it. We'll figure something out. Grace picked up the pen with shaking hands and signed the agreement. The whole room was silent except for the scratching of the pen on paper. As soon as she finished signing, Dad stood up and pointed at me. You've destroyed this family, Alice, I hope you're happy. Mom was crying now. How could you do this to your own sister? After everything we've been through as a family? You're a greedy, ungrateful daughter, Dad continued. Your mother and I are done with you. You're cut out of our lives forever. I felt like I'd been slapped. Even though I'd expected this, hearing it out loud was devastating. Grace finally looked up from the papers. I hope you're satisfied, Alice, you got your money, but you lost your family. They all walked out together, leaving me sitting there with Martinez. I'm sorry that went so badly, he said gently. I knew it would. I just hoped, I don't know what I hoped. 2 months have passed since that meeting. Grace has been making her payments right on schedule, $5,000 every month, transferred directly into my account. But I found out from my Aunt Linda that Grace isn't the one actually making the payments. Apparently, Grace quit her job right after signing the agreement. My aunt says she's been telling everyone that she's under severe stress because of what I did to her, and that she can't function normally. So she just lies on the couch at home all day, doing nothing. Mom and Dad are the ones making the payments. They're both working extra hours and have apparently taken out a loan to cover Grace's debt. My aunt says they look exhausted all the time, but Grace isn't helping them at all. She's just letting them sacrifice for her, like always. My aunt also told me that Grace has been telling everyone in our extended family that I'm a horrible person who destroyed the family over money. Some relatives have stopped talking to me completely. Others ask me awkward questions at family events I'm no longer invited to. Do I feel guilty? Sometimes. Especially when I think about my parents working extra hours to pay for Grace's mistakes. But then I remember that they chose this. They chose to enable Grace instead of making her take responsibility for her actions. They chose to cut me out instead of expecting basic decency from their other daughter. I don't consider myself to blame for their problems. They made their choice, and now they have to live with the consequences. Work has been my salvation through all of this. I got a promotion last month, senior marketing manager with a nice salary bump. My boss said I've been more focused and productive than ever, which is probably true. When you don't have family drama distracting you all the time, it's amazing how much you can accomplish. Sarah and I have gotten even closer through all of this. She was horrified when I told her what happened. Your sister spent $10,000 of your money and your parents are mad at you, she said. That's completely backwards. Tell me about it. Well, their loss. You're better off without people who think stealing from you is okay. I'm planning my next vacation now. It's going to be a solo trip to Italy, something I've always wanted to do but never got around to. No family members to worry about, no one else's expenses to cover, just me and whatever I want to do. It's funny how quiet my life has become without my family's constant drama. No more emergency phone calls from Grace needing money. No more guilt trips from my parents about not doing enough for my sister. No more walking on eggshells, trying to keep everyone happy. The money keeps coming in every month like clockwork. $5,000 on the 15th, regular as sunrise. Grace still has months of payments to go. After that, we'll be even, and I'll never have to deal with any of them again if I don't want to. Sometimes I wonder if Grace will ever grow up and take responsibility for her own life. But that's not my problem anymore. I'm done being her safety net. I'm done being the family ATM. I'm done sacrificing my own financial security for people who don't appreciate it.